morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining EliteCISOs weekly session that we organize every week, Thursday, 11 o'clock India time. As you can see, today's topic is very exciting. So we do sessions around EDR, around zero trust and different things all the time, right? But one area that I personally feel like mobile and IoT is kind of missing. We do not do enough session around these two topics. So to fill that gap, we have got great speakers today talking about a great title which says, can AI automation stop the rising tide of mobile threats? So that's a very exciting topic being presented by my very good friend Bhaskar and Pat. I'll transfer it over to Bhaskar and Pat for a quick 10-second, 20-second introduction, and then you can do a longer introduction later on when you get a chance to speak. So let's start with Bhaskar. And before I transfer it to Bhaskar, I must say congratulations, Bhaskar, for joining a great company like SentinelOne. I think you recently joined, right?
Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct, Vikas.
Great, great. Quick introduction of 20 seconds, Bhaskar.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Vikas, for this opportunity. I am the regional sales director for SentinelOne in North India. I'm handling North, East, Bangladesh, Bhutan, and Nepal. Sitting in Delhi, actually. So that's about me. I carry about 20 years of experience.
Awesome, awesome. Let's move to Pat for a quick introduction.
Yeah, sure. Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you. So I'll be presenting today, sharing a little bit about mobile security from SentinelOne, and I'll go through a demo as well and Q&A. Nice to meet everyone.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for the quick introduction. So from the agenda perspective, as you see, 11 to 11:05, quick introduction as we usually do. And then we will have about 50-minute session divided between Bhaskar and Pat. Bhaskar may take about 15-20 minutes, remaining time by Pat. And then at the end, we will save about 10 minutes for question answers. So for Q&A, we have panelists who are dedicated looking at the Q&A tab. So if you have a question during the session, you can put it on the Q&A tab and your question will be answered. If it is a phenomenal question, we will park it and we will ask you to go live at the end of the session, and then you can ask it live. Okay. But yeah, all questions are great questions. So put your questions while during the session. If you have anything, put it on a Q&A tab and your question will be answered. And then at the end, I will share the password to download your participation certificate. We will have our Wheel of Fortune. And as part of Wheel of Fortune, the giveaway today is smart watch. We have moved away from Amazon Alexa, and now we are giving away smart watches every session because because at EliteCISO, we have got a great fitness group and we want people to stay fit and healthy. As part of our fitness initiative, this is the challenge we throw in every session, that is stand and attend. I show this slide every time that, okay, if you sit a lot, you are going to get all these problems. But I always try to find a new educative video so that I can convince you guys to stand and attend these sessions, or don't sit a lot, right? So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this quick 2-minute video. Understand it, guys, the importance of standing and not just sitting all the time. So we are still in kind of Omicron phase. People are still working from home and sitting a lot, right? So maybe this video will convince you not to sit a lot. So let's see this video. And Bhaskar, please confirm if the audio is clear or not.
Absolutely clear, Vikas.
Cool.
Okay, a video.
Health Talk brought to you by Rapids Regional Medical Center. Is sitting the new smoking? For years, smoking has topped the list, along with alcohol, extra pounds, high cholesterol, and blood pressure, as an avoidable risk factor for heart attack, stroke, and cancer. Studies show that prolonged sitting could be just as bad.
It's really a compelling study. We thought that just because if you exercise and have that incorporated into your daily life that you'd be risk-free, but turns out now that if you have a job where you sit most of the day, that carries equal, if not greater risk than cigarette smoking. So it was really an eye-opener to a lot of us in the medical field.
That information probably does not come as a surprise to your doctor.
We all know that smoking has a terrific high risk for all kinds of things, principally cancer and heart disease. But now we know that sedentary lifestyles carry at least as much, if not more.
The news could be troubling for those with sedentary jobs who spend most of their 8 to 10-hour workday sitting behind a desk.
The biggest risk from sitting all day would be the development of obesity, which can in turn lead to the development of heart disease and diabetes, which are still the biggest killers in America. We've always thought that those were only left to people that had terrible lifestyle habits in and out of the office, but now we know you can have good lifestyle habits out of the office, but have a sedentary job and still have the risk.
Though it's not a substitute for exercise, some doctors recommend getting up once an hour from your desk, even if it's just to walk around briefly. Others say we should make it a habit to stand up while talking on the phone, do some stretches, or walk up a flight of stairs.
So if you do get up, incorporate activity into your daily routine at the office, talk to people instead of emailing people, walk instead of using the phone, you are extending your life.
Awesome, guys.
Health Talk brought to you by Rapids Region.
Okay, we sit a lot, and why standing is important. So that's why we give this challenge every time in our session, that do not sit for at least this 1 hour. If you stand, you will get all these benefits. So if you accept the challenge, go to the chat and say, yes, you are accepting the challenge. I see that it is 11:09 right now, so we'll extend for about 3-4 minutes at the end. I want to give fair chance to everyone to ask questions and questions to be answered as well. So go to the chat, say yes if you're accepting a challenge. I see a lot of people accepting it. That's awesome. The speakers as well, right? Pat and Bhaskar. Stand, guys. We are going to present for 1 hour. Okay, with this, let me transfer it over to Bhaskar to start the session. Over to you, Bhaskar.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you so much, Vikas. And I think that video defines the road ahead for everybody. I think I want to just touch upon that because this is very close to my heart as well. I've been walking 10 kilometers every day, and that's the way I keep myself fit.
Awesome.
And fitness is the way to go. With this, and I will just extend a bit about myself so that, and meanwhile, I also share my screen. My name is Bhaskar Nandi. I'm the regional sales director for SentinelOne, based out in Delhi. I have experience of 20 years. Have worked with Deloitte, Wipro, IBM. Have done a lot of work with the CISOs in India as well as abroad. Have been on the both side as a consultant as well as a seller for a lot of customers here and a lot of CISOs especially. I feel it's an honor for me to again come back to EliteCISO and present. Vikas, thank you for that opportunity. And I am amazed by the way EliteCISO has also scaled and transformed. Let me touch upon that for a second. I think EliteCISO, when I met Vikas, it was more physical, and then the COVID hit, and within about 2 years time frame, we see a huge transformation to virtual platform. And thanks a lot, and it signifies a lot of things in the current moment. And going by today's agenda, not only about the AI, especially because obviously we are dealing with data, we're dealing with huge amount of data and intelligence out of that data to find out the threats, to locate the threats, and to make a meaningful actionable intelligence out of these data is so important. But then again, as I said, the way transformation of things are happening, businesses are going through different changes due to COVID or due to the new work regimes that we are having. We all are working from home for last 2 years, accessing all business applications. It has actually pushed all the CISOs or the security professionals so much, in terms of creating the, looking at the security, looking at the attack surface, looking at different perspectives of the security. But when we think about the end user, the business user, when we think about them, with how they are accessing, the corporate infrastructure, the corporate applications from their home, how they are dealing with the, access, how they are using the technology, how they are being able to, increase, develop their capabilities to access this. Obviously, that's the most challenging work that our CISOs have done in the last 2 years. If you look at the past, within the perimeter, of the enterprise, we were looking at the security, looking at different security outside the perimeter as well. But with the new workflows, there's a huge amount of distributed efficiency that people have started to witness, and they have increased the modern enterprise attack surface, obviously, and we have seen a lot of organizations, while this attack surface has increased at a scale, they were actually not prepared to handle this. Now, when we talk about this, actually, we generally, we come to a situation where we have seen that, the devices which are being used by these remote workers are not always something which belongs to the corporate or the actual organization. If you look at me, even I carry an iPad and a phone where my organizations have given access to, and I access their business applications through these devices. According to one of the major data point that I would like to bring up to the onto the table is, according to the Verizon Mobile Security Index 2021, 70% of these organizations actually adapted to BYOD to enable these remote workers. While they have done that, the enterprise, this means that these enterprise data is being accessed, downloaded, and obviously transferred by these employees on their personal devices, as well as from that to the corporate devices. So there is a huge amount of risk on that front. Again, if you see all the business success factors, when we look at the business success factors for different organizations, trust me, when I go to different CIOs, CISOs, CEOs as well, I have been to CEOs with a big, while representing a big four, I have seen a huge reliance on building mobile apps, going into a mobile enabled business. And hence, if you look at, again, the Verizon Mobile Security Index 2021, you will see 71% of these enterprises consider mobile as one of the major success factor or critical element to their business. A trend that rapidly accelerated due to the global pandemic. Actually, the global pandemic has made us think how to grow this business, how to make this business or enable this business so that the end user can utilize the business actually. But then this whole huge reliance on mobiles endpoints has also a major risk, right? Because the attack surface of these organizations is growing so fast, and yet too many of these traditional endpoints that they were using lacked those security features, which is like a very obviously very difficult for most of our CISOs to cater to today's time. So just again, one of the data point which is very important and a very important takeaway from this session is if you look at the Project Zero by Google, you will see that Android and iOS have accounted for 31% of the zero-day attacks, and in the wild vulnerabilities used in the real attacks for the real users actually. And that's a very sharp uptick, or maybe I will say a huge increase in the overall from the 2020 it was only 11% contribution from Android and iOS. This is 31%. So basically, as the reliance on mobile usage and mobile devices increase, attackers are targeting your mobile, obviously the mobile devices, which already have connections to your corporate, and also they have personal and professional data. And due to the thin line between personal, professional, enterprise, BYOD kind of things, there's a huge, I mean, it's very easy for anybody to hide the threats and, kind of blend themselves into the into the network. So it's very difficult to catch that kind of thing. So even if you look at the recent headlines where you have seen mobile related threats, typically you will see that these are not small, small data leaks. These are something which have led to 0-day or 0-click kind of an attacks on different mobile users of the different enterprises, and they have led to huge amount of either data, spying on the different top executives, or taking out a lot of data from an organization. So in a nutshell, the mobile reliance is going to stay. The reliance on mobile devices is going to stay and become bigger and bigger, because the business will grow. People will need a lot of enablement in terms of how they live their lifestyles and other things. But at the same time, we have to look at securing the mobile endpoint, because that's a major point of worry for all the businesses as well as the individuals. Now, we have known for a long time that getting a mobile into BYOD is very easy, because that helps you in delivering corporate emails, apps, data to your device. Also securing the device by enforcing a password and PIN code, MDM helps in that. And then obviously pushing down a VPN profile whenever you want to access the corporate network. But if you look at a mobile threat defense kind of a concept, then you will see where a mobile device management stops, the mobile threat defense comes into picture. And let me tell you and assure you that these two solutions are more complementary than competing, actually, because there's a very small overlap between these two products, which is very, very important. And what exactly are we helping you with an MTD solution? So phishing attacks, malicious apps, right? Any app with a malicious intent. A rogue access point, very, very important. And I'm sure Vikas and everybody in this room will understand. Whenever we are at the airport, where we are at a large shopping mall, we can't call up, or we are not able to connect through WhatsApp, and we suddenly latch onto the next free Wi-Fi, right? And that's kind of makes you so vulnerable that somebody can easily get into your phone, take out some important information, and then obviously create a havoc, because that mobile is part of your corporate infrastructure and has an access to your corporate infrastructure. So there's so much to talk about here, but I want to quickly introduce to you all that we have launched Singularity Mobile. This is a mobile device, a mobile threat defense from SentinelOne. It is powered by artificial intelligence, has 24/7 security inbuilt into it, and it can run without cloud connectivity. I want to stress here that we are moving one step ahead of the solutions, traditional solutions, because traditional solutions need internet connectivity to cloud. That is how they analyze threats and report you back. We don't need it. The agent is smart. It behaves on behavioral AI, artificial intelligence again. The real-time phishing prevention, which will be demonstrated by Pat in a moment, integrates with all major MDM. So what we are essentially saying is, wherever you have invested already, we are not going to rip it apart. We are not going to tell you to do away with it. We are telling you that we will coexist with that solution, make it meaningful for you, make it more visible. The threats will be more visible because we will be talking to each other. And I think going forward, if I take you back about 20 years, there were laptops there were desktops which had memory equivalent to our phones right now. So you actually have transformed the whole thing into a mobile actually, and you have come to a mobile which is equivalent to a server of 90s, I think. And what you are essentially doing is you're managing that endpoint, which is slightly smaller, or I mean is a miniature of a server, actually maybe a small thing. But then obviously it's a great perspective to manage your endpoint, especially the endpoint with iOS, Android, or Chrome OS. These are the OS which we support right now. And obviously, you know, whenever you put an agent into a mobile, the first thing that will come to your colleagues, employees, or the end users will be whether I will be monitored, my data will be taken away or analyzed or something. I want to assure you that we have privacy built into the design. We don't take any user information. We are only doing the telemetry. We are only analyzing the metadata, and we are coming out with this sensible threat perspective for the enterprise. What are the types of agents that we have? We have iPhone, Android mobile. We have iPad, agents, and Android agents, Android tablet agents. These are all available in Play Store and App Store. You can go ahead and download. Yeah. So why I like this slide, because a lot of time when you talk about a new thing, always it bells a ring into your mind that if I buy, is my existing investment going to be waste, or what is it that I am getting extra in this particular solution? I hope that answers a lot of questions for all the CISOs in this session, and that is precisely what I am talking about. MTD helps you detect and prevent your mobile endpoints from exploits, malware, phishing, malicious apps. Very, very important. I mean, going forward, there will be large amount of, I come from an external threat management experience. In the last 2 years, I've worked very closely on the dark web, deep web, mobile applications, app stores. There are 50, 70 app stores, not app store, Play stores kind of things, where a lot of fake apps are uploaded for people to download, and those are sent through SMSs. You can download those apps and get compromised, absolutely compromised in a moment. So very, very important. Rogue apps, MITM, so man in the middle attacks, SSL stripping. So a lot of things. I've read this, and I'm reading this because this is the thing that you are going to just, if you can look at my cursor, or I can use a pen for better visibility maybe. Sorry. So you get this, and there's a very small overlap here, so which doesn't really. And while I say that, this is compatible with other MDMs, you can look at the names here: Microsoft, Intune, VMware, Workspace ONE, Citrix, Zen Mobile, BlackBerry MDM. So we integrate with all of them. More sense. Yeah, I hand it over to now. Obviously, I hand it over to Pat for a quick demonstration of the different, capabilities that we have. Pat, over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Bhaskar.
Yeah, I hope I took lesser time. Let me just do a stop share. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Let me just get my sharing go on. Okay, thank you, Bhaskar. I think that was a great intro. So I know there's some question already around how phishing detection work, etc. So we will cover 2 scenarios here in the demo. Okay, the first one is we'll just quickly look at phishing, how the protection is applied, and then we'll look at a scenario for iOS device. Okay, so just in general, right, phishing protection is actually not a very easy problem to solve, right? Because the URLs and the sites are being created all the time. But as you can see here, the phishing doesn't always come from email only, right? Because it's now getting so sophisticated. It's coming through SMSs, it's coming through WhatsApp messages, social media, right? And imagine, as Bhaskar mentioned, right? We are using our phone for personal use as well for work, right? And I'm sure, right? Everyone in the India community is definitely using WhatsApp, one of those social media apps, right? Things are being communicated that way. So the way we approach the phishing detection is using two methods. Okay, the first method is you can see using actually a VPN configuration that's installed on the mobile phone as part of the SentinelOne mobile app. And when the application, when the user taps on the link, okay, that's when the link will get evaluated by the SentinelOne mobile agent. And we use machine learning based classification, look at the URL, look at the reputation, and then we determine if this link is good or bad. Okay. So this requires obviously a VPN setup, right? But if you have any user, for example, they will say, hey, this is my phone, I don't want to use this particular feature for phishing. Is there any way you can do it? The answer is yes. We actually allow the user, right? If they get suspicious URL that they are not comfortable with, they don't want to use a VPN, they can actually copy and paste the URL into the SentinelOne mobile app, and then we'll only check for that URL. Okay, so I think the important thing to sort of highlight here, right, for everyone, is that we do not get access or permission to your SMSs, right? Because in order for a lot of the security solution you buy from consumer grade, they will say, hey, the app have to read your SMS, meaning that every single message you get, they will read, right? Which is not very privacy centric. We don't have access to the WhatsApp messages you're talking about, your emails. We only evaluate when the link is launched, and that's the time that we test and validate that URL. Okay, and just briefly to close off the demonstration, all the events, right, as Bhaskar mentioned, signals and telemetry, when we see certain things, we will send that to the console where you can actually understand, right, which particular URL was tapped by the user, and what are the risk profile. Okay, so that's the very quick example of phishing. I wanted just to switch the screen now here to the next demo, right? So I know most of the CISO, maybe in the community, there's obviously a user of iOS and Android, right? I was always, in this kind of session, I'll do a poll, right, to see how many people is an iOS user, how many people are Android user. And iOS user will always say, hey, iOS is safe, right? I don't need a security solution. And the Android user will always says, yeah, no, they are safer, right? There's always that war going on. So now, as Bhaskar have shared, right? Last year, there is, I think 30 different CVEs on the vulnerability that was discovered on both iOS and Android platform. And I'm sure you've heard about the spyware Pegasus, right? It is able to essentially through a website you're visiting, execute a malicious payload within your browser, your Safari, application, which you don't even know is happening. The attacker is able to compromise and take full control of your iOS device or Android device, right? So what we're going to show you is something similar, right? Obviously, we don't have the latest and greatest 0-day because they're very expensive, right? So we actually have a device here that is running a little bit older version of iOS, which is already being patched, right, by Apple. So the advice to most of the security professional is that update and install all your operating system update as soon as you can. They update. Apple release those updates not because they adding a new feature. Okay, they're actually fixing it because of those 0-day bugs, right? That can have very dramatic impact. So don't forget though, right? When you are accessing a network, you can never be sure if it's a real network, right? So Bhaskar, you have probably home Wi-Fi, right? Because you have probably office Wi-Fi. How do you know you're connecting to the real Wi-Fi? Just because the name says it's SentinelOne Mobile, right? Or SentinelOne Office, right? It's very difficult because me as an attacker, which I'll show you on the video here, on the left-hand side is where the bad guy is, right? He's running Kali Linux and scripts, and then, all the hacking tool that is very available readily, right? Open source and, can be purchased quite, freely. On the right-hand side, your iPhone is basically scanning the network and say, oh, yeah, I have all this Wi-Fi I can connect it to, right? Obviously, for the demo, you can see we're putting some name here to say, toxic or bad Wi-Fi, right? But obviously, the bad guy won't do that, right? So what we're going to show you is that the application actually has SentinelOne Mobile installed. the user actually connected or going to tap on that coffee shop toxic, okay? And as soon as that, that connection is established, right, we will evaluate if this network is safe, and we actually will alert the user if this is actually good to continue. And as you can see, right, as soon as the user connected to that Wi-Fi, we already identified that coffee shop Wi-Fi is actually risky, and the color of that network safety now turned red, okay? Now, think about it, right? How many times do you connect to Wi-Fi without knowing they are really safe or not, right? And you're probably thinking, right, why is that important? Well, it's important because in the monitoring only mode that we are showing here, right, we're going to show you how running, connecting to a compromised network, meaning that you are providing, you give away your control to the hacker, right? So what the hacker is going to do now is, because you're connected to their network, they can send you to any website they want you to go to, right? You have zero control because iPhone doesn't tell you that, right? So we're going to show you that the attacker is going to set up the attack, identify already the IP address of the iPhone on the right-hand side, and it's going to now connect and basically detonate a malicious payload that will then take control of the device. So on the right-hand side, right, you think you're connecting to a Wi-Fi network that's safe, Apple page loads okay, but the attacker is going to make something, socially engineer website for you to go to, okay? So if we just speed up a little bit on the connection here, okay, you see that the attacker had prepared a list of DNS names or domains, right, that you are probably likely to go to, or they want you to go to, okay? So once it's activated, you see the user is going to go there, right? Actually going to Acme as a demo example, okay? Now, rather than going to the real website, this website is actually served or presented and socially engineered by the attacker, right? So you can see here, hey, because of your company website, your device is actually out of compliance due to the COVID, you need to install this safety app, okay? So very simply, user gets fooled, right? Maybe not so much on the CISO here, but maybe your team, employees within your organization. These kind of things happens all the time, right? The user will launch the application, again, without knowing, right? Because it's socially engineered to trick the user. The application will run and then actually doesn't do anything. Now, do you know when you run an application that is not safe, what can that application do to your phone? Actually correct that to your iPhone, right? You probably think it's okay. Now, I think we all are fairly technical here, right? When someone is connected, so this is the attacker on the left, is now connected to the iPhone on the right-hand side on the IP address. And the user that I'm connecting to the iPhone is a root user, right? So when you get root, right, on Windows, on any operating system platform, it's considered as elevated privileges, right? They own your device now. So the attacker, just by simply running that application, is now managed to control your application, right? So SentinelOne mobile app, being in the monitoring mode, detected the event, actually show critical event, right? And tell you that your device is considered as jailbroken or rooted. If you have an MDM solution on the device, by the way, the MDM would not say anything because this part of the attack technique is not detected by the MDM solution, okay? We will come back to the console shortly. I just wanted to see and show you when the device is compromised, what the attacker can do, right? So you can see on the left-hand side, the attacker is pressing the home button. You see the home screen changed. The attacker says, okay, show me a screenshot of what the iPhone is looking at. Bang, right? No one's actually touching the screen, but whatever you're looking at on your iPhone is then being screenshots being taken. Now, think about all the solution that you use, right? They tell you that MDM will protect you, you protect things that you're seeing on the screen. But if your phone is hacked, whether you're running Outlook or anything, your display screen or the buffer is not encrypted, right? The data is encrypted maybe, but the screen is not. The attacker can always see everything. Now you can see that there's a lot of activity the attacker can do, dumping the contact list, right? So this is a little bit embarrassing, Bhaskar. I hope it's not your phone, but it has some lovers information there. But again, right? The devices are so sensitive to us. It has so important information. We have things that are actually a lot to lose, right? So contact information can be stolen. Even the password that you use for your home Wi-Fi, okay? This lab, SSID. Remember Apple says everything is encrypted. but that's encrypted to the user, to yourself, but not to the hacker. Hacker can see everything they want, okay? The keychain information, right? So if you're using Office 365, you have your authenticated token, right? All that token is actually stored in the keychain temporarily. So by accessing to the keychain means I can access and impersonate you to your account, right? And access your cloud resources. So all that information again is on the phone. Now, this is a remote demo, right? So I'm gonna sort of finish it up very quickly, but audio recording can be remotely kicked off as well. So because if you are talking to Bhaskar about some, next event, maybe some sensitive thing about business, right? Launching a new product, comparing, competing with another competitor, all that information is recorded. That file is actually accessible on the attacker's machine, right? Pretty scary, right? All the things you see in movie that people say that can be done, that may be able to do, it's actually possible because iOS or Android is just another computer. With the right tool set, you can actually get access to those information. Okay, I'm just gonna proceed a little bit further. So we can hijack your email system, send an email on behalf of the CISO to the team, right? So you can essentially spread a virus within your own organization, right? And ultimately, the other thing we can also do, so I'm just gonna sort of speed forward a little bit, is that even when you are typing something very sensitive, right? The keylogger can also be turned on so that you're making a sensitive notes about certain username, password, credential, maybe your OTP token from your bank, right? All that information can be accessed on the attacker as well, right? So now, just pausing here, right? Because we're in the monitoring mode, on the server, we're only seeing all the events, right? But if we would have applied the protection mode and we integrate with the MDM solutions, we can very quickly, the moment that the detection takes place, we can block the user from accessing Outlook and all the corporate information, right? Whereby you are securing your corporate data and the corporate users, okay? But if we block it, earlier on, obviously it's not as exciting, right? So I just want to pause here for the demo and hand this session back to Bhaskar, right? So you can take it forward. Thank you, Bhaskar.
Hey, thank you so much, Pat, for that wonderful demo. Just wanted to, share one of my experience where, kind of a malicious mobile app landed somebody, landed in a corporate network and then could take so many photographs, personal, private photographs of people. I have witnessed that actually in my different work that I have done with people.
Right.
And that is so I'm telling you individually, it is so maligning your image, as well as from a corporate perspective, it hurts your brand so much if that kind of a news goes public, right? So yeah, thank you so much for elaborating and showing that demo. Actually, I'm sure people have found it very, very useful. And though there are a lot of people who talk about it, it is very, very important that we demonstrate such capabilities, because demonstration means you are able to do it. That is most important. So just to summarize, what you get out of this whole platform, obviously we are talking about coexisting with your existing MDM. We see a lot of questions. I saw a question with Mass 360 as well. We'll come back on that. I think because you can maybe, or we can share it on a broader platform later on for Mass 360. I think yes, you would have replied to that question, or we would have parked it. I just wanted to touch upon a bit on the AI part, basically, and I know all the CISOs who have joined in are futuristic. They're looking at next big thing that's going to happen. I'm going to assure you that there's going to be a huge amount of data, huge amount of bad data as well. There'll be a lot of analysis required for your bad data. You can't do it manually. You can't do it you can't do it just like that. You need an artificial intelligence, a smart artificial intelligence based tool to understand behavioral patterns, understand unknown attacks, unknown malwares, and different things. So very, very important. And to assure you on the privacy, yes, we are taking care of the privacy, as Pat also told. we are BYOD safe. We don't connect to, collect user information, neither look at their messages or anything. Very important takeaways for all of us today is we do exploit detection, right? I told you we connected to a Wi-Fi in a mall, we got compromised. Who's going to tell you that you have been compromised? This is the tool. Phishing prevention, right? Real time phishing prevention. You click the link, the console pops up, tells you that this device has been infected. Untrusted network detection. I'm sure most of us would have thought about it by now. Whenever we go to Cyber Hub or we go to a great place in Mumbai or Bangalore, we face this every time we connect. So yeah, I mean, there's so much to talk about. I will just stop there and hand it over to Vikas. Vikas, over to you. Thank you so much.
Great, Bhaskar and Pat, amazing session. So we still have like good 10-12 minutes for Q&A. So guys, please go ahead, raise your hand. We will unmute you for live questions. It is always good to ask live question instead of just putting it on the chat. So I see Wahid, Vikas and Manoj have raised their hand. So Angel, please go ahead, unmute Mr. Wahid. Mr. Wahid, go ahead, ask your question now. You can unmute yourself.
Yeah. Yes. Hello.
Hey.
So yeah, I was asking actually ask this. So how practical is this, attack nowadays? If you want to have, like the user will have banking websites, Facebook, Google, and so on. All of them are HTTPS websites. So, and they will be, there will be HSTS coming in the way. So if a user will visit such a site that the attacker is trying, to replicate or something, then you will see obviously an issue there. You will see this red warning there. So how practical is it actually?
Yeah, just to add to this question before you answer, Pat. So SSL pinning is also there, right, for the mobile apps. You could go for SSL pinning. So answer that as well in addition to Wahid's question. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So great question. So first of all, the demonstration is really just ideas to simulate scenario that's possible, right? So as you rightly pointed out, mobile applications have SSL pinning. So that is one way that can be mitigated the event. But for your example you just give, right, around HTTPS, that is on the transport communication layer, right? But a lot of the attacker don't go there. They actually go one level down, right? The attack that we were showing before was actually DNS-based spoofing, right? Because it knows what Facebook.com's real IP address. That's why it goes there with HTTPS requests, right? But if I can intercept the DNS, right, and I redirect that to my fake Facebook with HTTP only, and within a very short spend amount of time, it's very difficult for the end user to realize, right? So security savvy people, yes, I think they can definitely pick that up. But for a lot of the general users, right, attackers always looking for ways, right, to manipulate and socially engineer the user. And even before, by the way, before we even go through that whole scenario, right, the attacker would have sit there and watch all the traffic. So they know which website you're going to, which content, maybe you're looking for a certain furniture, right? Then by the right time, they would then initiate the attack. You want to go to, for example, IKEA.com, they would then spoof the DNS and take you over to their website, right? So I think that the answer is, it's not straightforward, but there are ways that people can do it by just manipulating the URL, because ultimately, if I take you to Facebook.com with a 0 and with something blah, blah, blah at the end, the user can't really tell on that small mobile phone screen, right? So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. I hope that answers your question, Mr. Wahid. Let's go to Mr. Manoj now. Manoj, go ahead, unmute yourself, ask your question now.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. It was a wonderful session. This agent which needs to be loaded on the mobile, how heavy it is and whether it will eat up some memory and make the device slow? Right.
Sure. Great question, Manoj. So the application is around 30 megabyte when you download it to your phone, okay? We actually have a partnership with SentinelOne, and being in the mobile security for the last 10 years, our battery consumption for our mobile application is ranged between 2 to 3% over 24 hours, right? And we have over 80 million mobile phone that is protected by our agent, right? So we actually have a lot of data point informations around the performance, because mobile, if you drain battery, it's actually a big problem, right? So we're actually fairly confident about the optimization we have done over the years, right? We actually started the detection when Android 1 first came out. Okay, so that's the battery type of consumption. As Vikas mentioned, as Bhaskar mentioned before, because we are machine learning model are running on the mobile phone. Okay, so we are actually doing very little data consumption, and the detection actually operate offline or on the device itself. Even with that, right, we are not doing machine learning on the phone. Okay, so when we say machine learning, it's not that you install the app and we start learning about how you use your application and to tell you what's good or bad. The data training, right, with millions of data and billions of devices are actually done in the cloud. We push down the machine learning model on the phone, and all your phone does is to take the data from your phone, compare against the model, and so it's very lightweight. Okay, so generally there's no issue with performance as well as the data usage.
Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you, Manoj.
Cool. Let's go to Mr. Vikas Rawat now. Vikas, go ahead, ask your question. You got a great name as well.
Thank you, Vikas. Hi, Bhaskar. Hi, Pat. Wonderful session. My question is that, okay, though this product is basically AI enabled, and it is basically do the real-time scanning of the whatever the link or SMS we get, or connecting to the Wi-Fi, the public Wi-Fi. So it is basically you having all this information in your database, or you do the once you do the real-time scanning, how much time it takes, and whether it is some kind of time duration is being fixed, like okay, within a few seconds, within a few minutes, we get a result that okay, this is the genuine link, or some kind of fishy things.
Yeah, sure, because thanks for the question. So yes, so in fact we the evaluation takes within a few seconds, right? Because if you think about the user who's trying to use their phone, if we say, hey, take a coffee, wait for us to check your website, come back in 10 minutes, I don't think that will go down very well, right? So we are designed to be very lightweight, right? But I do want to mention a very important point, right? So phishing as a problem, I don't believe as a security professional, it's a technology solution, right? We can only do our best, right, to look at the URL. What we also do is we can check, reputation of the DNS record, right? We also extending our machine learning model to look at the content, right? Because when the phishing link is trying to phish your username and password, they will have certain behaviors, right, on the payload. So we are doing a lot of those analysis. As you see, right, the more analysis we do, we are moving away the analysis from the on-device only into a more server-side analysis, right? So we are always trying to improve and balance that, right? At the very minimum, you have the URL check. And then, if you do want to have more, I guess, enhanced detection, you can always turn down more capability, which the SentinelOne mobile platform can be customized and tweaked. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, Vikas.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just want to add one thing, because there actually, as we hit the modern times, actually, the number of threats will always increase, and very, very difficult it will be going forward to only detect by signatures or known threats, right? There will be lesser known threats. There'll be more unknown threats. And let me give you some real life examples. I have met hundreds of customers in the last 2 years where I've seen people registering domains similar to the customer actual domains and just fish on those domain names. And it is so important that today we wear that hat of, and basically wear that hat where we understand that the threats will no more be countable anymore. And we'll have to have that extra intelligence in the system to identify behavioral attacks rather than signature based attacks. That's the point that I want to make in this session, actually, because the paradigm of threat is growing leaps and bounds every day. It's very, very difficult to tie it down to a number of signatures.
Absolutely. Cool. Let's move to next question. Mr. Natarajan, unmute yourself and ask your question, please.
Thanks, Vikas. I just my ex-colleague Vikas Rawat asked the question what I was trying to ask. Looks like we are, even though we are ex, we are still thinking about the same thing. Interesting.
Thank you,
Very nice,
Singhs.
very nice. Great, good to know that. Okay, let's move to Mr. Gunjan now.
Hey, hi, Bhaskar, Pat. Thanks for a lovely session. Great insights here. Quick question here. So let's say this device really or this platform of yours identify a malicious platform, right? A trigger is alerted at the server end, alerting the administrator that it's a malicious website or it's a phishing website. But at the same time, can we alert the user immediately that it's a malicious website? Brings up a pop-up which says it's a malicious website. Please do not really enter your credentials, something like that.
Yep, yeah. Mr. Gunjan, yes. In fact, I think maybe the demo was played too quickly, right? So the whole idea of the detection is we want to communicate that information at the immediate point in time to the user, so that if the user tap on the link, right, and the protection detected that, you actually see a little warning and say, hey, this is risky. We don't recommend you to proceed, right? Or if the company actually wanted to, oops. Okay, I think someone's, okay. So you actually get the alert, right? And Mr. Gunjan, same thing applies to the network. If you connect to a malicious network, if you download a malicious app, right? Because there's a lot of these are going around as well, especially on the Android, the user will always get notification and a little recommendation on what they should do to keep safe, right? But that's one sort of a perspective of the solution. The other part obviously is what you just mentioned. The admin will get an event, the telemetry will send back, and based on the workflow, right, you can trigger, maybe some compliance action to ultimately, cut off those, sensitive information on user's device, right? I hope that answers your question.
Yes, that answers. Just one more question. Sorry if I'm taking time. But when a user installs this application, and let's say there's a malicious application which is already installed on the user mobile handset, does it really identify at that point in time while installing that this is a malicious application?
Yeah. So Mr. Gunjan, so what we do, right, when the app is installed, we assume, right, that the device is not clean, right? So we actually do our scanning, right? So you won't be like instant, but as we scan through the apps on the device and we find the malicious app, we will alert the user, right? But from that point on, right, once we get the baseline of the device, anytime you install a new app, right, maybe you update a new application, we only need to scan that incrementally, right? We don't have to do the whole scan. So the initial scan will be more comprehensive because we want to make sure it's not already compromised, right? And then the going forward, that will be a lot more lightweight. And one thing I just wanted to mention, since we are talking about scanning of apps and phishing link, there's architecture difference, right? iOS, if you go to the App Store, there is no antivirus app, right? You can Google, you can find. It's not because there's no virus on Apple, okay? It's actually because Apple don't allow anyone to scan apps, okay? Doesn't mean there's no virus, right? We actually found, viruses and we reported to Apple previously, right? And they've taken off that from the store. So what's important here is that certain things we can scan based on the operating system restriction. When on iOS platform where we can't scan apps, we still have other, monitoring, right? Like the network behavior. If the application actually run a malicious code and attack the operating system, then we'll trigger those system tampering event that you saw right in the demo. So we will cover you through the different sort of tripwires that we lay, around the mobile phone. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Great, sounds good. That was the last question you could take live. There was one excellent question on the chat asked by Swapna. That was how to download the participation certificate. So guys, what you got to do to download a certificate like this is go to EliteCISOs website, click on events, click on upcoming events. You will come to a page like this, click on CP certificate. You will be taken to a Google form, put your email address over here, put your full name, and the secret or the password to download certificate is mobile. That's what we talked the entire 1 hour. So that's what the password is. Once you enter that, you will get a certificate like this on your email. Now, as I said that we conduct these events every week. So Next week on 3rd February, we have an event with Microsoft. The registrations are not open yet because we are trying to close a couple of things with Microsoft. It's a lot of paperwork with them, from a compliance perspective. So we are trying to close that. And hopefully we will have a session with Microsoft on 3rd of February, which is next week, Thursday. With this, I think the last thing that everybody is kind of waiting for is a Wheel of Fortune, as we, run this Wheel of Fortune in every session. And we randomly pick one winner. And this time the winner will get a smart watch, a smart fitness tracker watch. Okay, guys. So if your name comes, go to the chat and say, yes, you are in the session. I'm going to spin it now. Good luck, everyone. Let's see who the lucky winner is this time. Remember, you got to go to chat and say, yes, you are in this session, and you got to be quick. So the first one it is going to pick is not so quick, Anil. So, oh wow, Swapna, very nice. Swapna asked the question, so we know that Swapna is there. Swapna, I'm putting my mobile number on the chat. Go ahead, send me a WhatsApp, and then we will deliver you the smartwatch. So my number is there. With this, thanks everyone for joining in. It's a great session. Thanks, Bhaskar. Thanks, Pat, and other panelists from SentinelOne. Really enjoyed the session. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.